was wrong, we felt it inside. Something told us, do not comply. Turn off the news, turn off the TV. It's time to think, get off your knees. We tried to warn loved ones, oh did we try? We tried to save lives, but we were denied. Sadly we failed and many of them died. We were kicked to the side, we did not hide. We took to the streets, we would not comply. Our conscience told us this was the world's largest lie. At first we were few, but we shortly grew. Melbourne streets saw sights that had never been seen. We fought for our rights, for all to be free. People thrown to the ground, pepper spray to the face. No matter what age, we were locked up and caged. Then the guns came out, they had no care. They shot their own people, running in fear, unarmed and peaceful. We stood for our rights, they would not stop us. We would not give up the fight. We were locked out of cafes, our families withdrew. No Christmas, no birthdays, no celebrations we knew. We were germs, enemies, a danger to you. You watched the counts on mainstream news. No further would you look, we were all cooked. Deluded, brainwashed, segregation we lived through. Whilst you lived your life without any clue. People thrown to the ground, pepper spray to the face. No matter what age, we were locked up and caged. Then the guns came out, they had no care. They shot their own people, running in fear, unarmed and peaceful. We stood for our rights, they would not stop us. We would not give up the fight. Something was wrong, we felt it inside. Something told us, do not comply.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mantra Moments. We have a very interesting evening tonight. We have Jess, and she's the founder of the Royal Tribal Health Ministry. So I'm going to bring her on stage, and I hope you enjoy this evening. Here she is. Hi, Jess. How are you going?
Good, Donna. How are you?
Yeah, good. We have an interesting evening with you
Yeah,
tonight.
very emotional song. I almost started crying just listening to the words. It was very beautiful. So I hope I keep it together now after that.
Oh, sorry. I wrote that.
No, it just brings back memories. We've all been through it. It's a bit of a trauma bond.
Yes, it is.
But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. Okay. So tell us all about this tribal health ministry, Royal Tribal Health Ministry.
Well, I guess realistically, for a long time, I've spent my life intrigued by religions, intrigued by God, intrigued by the Amish. I sort of spent my life, I was raised by an atheist, so I was told God doesn't exist. So that was a pretty blatant beginning when deep down inside me, I felt like, no, there is definitely a creator and I definitely feel something. So from that moment forth, I denied what my parents told me and started to hunt different religions from all around the world. I was very blessed. I got to travel. I lived in Saudi Arabia for 4 years as a young girl, and we traveled the world. So we lived amongst Muslims. We went out to Jordan. We went everywhere. I was very lucky to, like the classroom that I was raised in, I was the only Australian. So for 4 years, I was very isolated as a white girl. And literally you know, people were very interested in Australia. They didn't know much about it because there were lots of Western. Anyway, back in those days, back when I was a little girl, there was no racial barrier. We were all one on a big ship in a classroom, and we learnt everybody's life, and it was a gift. And so from that moment forth, I guess I've never really had a racist bone in me, based on my best friends were from all around the world. It was a continental school. So traveling all around with my father, who's a meteorologist, funnily enough, I study a lot about, you know, climate change, and I've been a greenie my whole life. But when climate change kicked in, I was like, how come they're getting all the media attention? We literally had to run naked or, you know, stand in front of a, chain ourselves to something so someone cared, you know, and get in the news. Any news was good news. So all of a sudden, climate change, all these people. So I sort of stepped away from the green movement. I said, something's not right here. We were getting infiltrated, saving trees. So it was pretty hectic. I wasn't your typical greenie. I just believed in sustainable logging. I didn't believe in 1080, killing all our native animals and then logging the shit out of it and giving it to China and Germany. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Excuse me for swearing. And it devastated me, you know. So I spent my life in Victorian's forest. I spent my life working with elders that would come and thank us and say, thank you so much. Like, you know, and I guess for me, I had a very rare approach to being an Australian. I came back to Australia, I think I was, 12 years old? And I suddenly saw traditional, you know, custodians as, imagine living here and people don't like you and it's your actual country. So I sort of looked at it from a different approach to a lot of other people. I was like, God, imagine, you know, so realistically, we could be going there anyway. But the point of the story is it made me start to look at religions and how divided it was, and, you know, and this whole big one world religion that's coming. And I look at, you know, what they're trying to force us to do. And I watch the head bishop of the Catholics tell them they all need to be vaccinated, even though isn't that meant to be the, you know, the beast? And, you know, so that's how I started to explore the idea of creating a ministry. So to create a ministry, it's not as simple as it sounds. It's not like you just get a ministry and you go. There's actually a lot of legalities to starting a ministry. There's equity, there's trust, there's councils, there's government, you're literally running a micro universe inside a ministry. So fascinating. So that's sort of where I came up with the idea of the Royal Tribal Health Ministry, because I believe our bloodlines are our own. So I understand how the division happens racially and why we like to breed within our own tribes. We know each other. We understand each other's cultures, and we've been all trained to think the same. And that's a beautiful thing. It's not something necessarily people, you know, like to get upset, say, if, you know, say Caucasian, if that's the appropriate word, would like to procreate with Caucasians. Well, that's totally okay, because that's what we're used to. So in Australia, that's been mixed up a lot, and you can see it more and more now. So culturally, our bloodlines are sort of getting washed around with lots of different genes. And it's really interesting listening to some people, because they've got, I don't know, maybe 12 different countries within themselves, you know. So it's just fascinating. And for me, I guess I stem right back to, I look at our heraldry. So we all have in heraldry sovereign rights. And that's something I think us in the, shall I say, freedom movement, I like to think that we're just, you know, the normal beings that want to stay as we were 5 years ago and make a choice if we want to or not. But for me, I started to realize we're in a lot of trouble, and we're deliberately in a lot of trouble. And I think I just wanted to give people a sanctuary, a safe space, a place where we're entitled to protect our genes, our food, no GMO, no GMO coming from the sky, all sorts of things that are starting to push through to sort of ruin the tapestry of our genetic coding. So that's where the word royal tribal comes from. We're trying to protect our DNA, whomever DNA we want to protect. That's our choice. So I look at the Amish and I thought, right, we're going to have a crack at this. And that's sort of where it birthed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want me to keep going, I can, going down that line of linear. So for me, I'm a McPherson. So I have old Scottish law that protects me here in Australia. A lot of people don't realise, but the Scottish law is how we sort of run around doing all the Freemasons. They run on an old traditional Scottish law. So a lot of us actually have the keys we need already. We just don't know our inheritary rights. The other side of me is the O'Farrells, which are the O'Farrells. And they were the longest linear Gaelic line in Ireland. So therefore, we never folded to the Romans and we never folded to the English. And people like to think that the convicts that were sent over here were crimes of stealing bread and violin. Like it doesn't take much for you to start to comprehend something's not right there, but let alone going over the settlement ships, which was 1788. When you go to like 1796, that's when the political ships came out, and they were the Irish nationalists that tried to rise up and save their country. And because they had long linear lines into their country, they were the ones they got and put them on ships and sent them over here. And you can see in the convict lines, if you go back and have a look at your own heraldry, you may find that your forefathers were non-religious. It means they never bent to a religion, they never bent to the British, and they were dangerous because they were crown to the land. So they got them out of there and put them in Australia. And that's actually a very famous story when the Irish rised up in, I think it's Castle Hill in New South Wales.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to go home, and the ship, they weren't allowed to. And that's when the traditional landowners and the Irish sort of started to go, hey, because what was happening to them is what had only recently happened to us. Well, obviously over 200 years, we've sort of forgotten it. Whereas I feel for us, that was left in Ireland. Here, we were a bit lucky. We were the same colour as the British, so we could eventually blend. And yeah, that's where relationships, if you go and talk to elders, they actually really respect the Irish and the Scottish. Scottish were the fur traders, and that's why they came here and took all the fur and sent them back overseas. Anyway, that's enough of that. But that's a really important part that my grandmother taught me, and you couldn't Google search back in the day. So I'd go to the library and look up all this crazy stuff my grandma would tell me, and she'd be like, oh no, Shill and a gig, she was a goddess and all this stuff. And I'd be like, what? Because as she was getting older, she was sort of, my mum said grandma's losing her mind. But I'd listen and sit with her and go and research and go, oh my God, she's right. And I'd print it all out. So come Easter, Christmas, all those special days, I'd always give her a bundle of photocopied stuff I'd got from the library to go, yeah, you're right, here it is. And she'd be so honoured. She was so, it was her remembering her grandma and her grandma's stories, and it was just a very emotional and beautiful time. And it just happens one of my cousins die, and so I'm going to see my family tomorrow. I'm a little bit but anyway, point of the story is it's a really important thing that we hold that, because that doesn't make us racist, and it doesn't make us these crazy neo-Nazis or however they try and paint us as a human consciousness. We're just attracted to our own, and not necessarily attracted to our own. We can be attracted to whoever we want, but it doesn't mean that we are necessarily racist. Unfortunately, over time, we start to get that way because our religions are so different. We can't comprehend how some religions do this and that. But yeah, anyway, so that is why I decided to start our one world religion. And when I say that, I don't say that I want you all to become one world religion. I want you to have your own belief systems protected. So when they decide to pull the one world religion, oh, sorry, mate, we've already got our own, bro. Like, thanks anyway. Have a good day, and we'll meet you in the middle. We'll come to the round table with you. And they can't indoctrinate us into their future plan because that's not on. And it's not okay. And we need to be able to be who we are as we were always in Australia. I mean, we always held on to just being an Aussie and, oh, g'day, mate, and, oh, what country are you from? And, you know, we were actually a pretty cool country up until 5 years ago. I believe there's a lot of racial misunderstanding, and I believe that's being bred through us, and that's okay as well. Like, whatever, I don't need to be judged for my opinion. I have a different relationship. I lived on North Stradbroke Island. My best friends are traditional landowners. They're as funny as. They see it my way. They're a lot more advanced in understanding what's going on. And it blows my mind what I learn from them every day when I hang out with them. So they've literally lent us the dream time and Bunjil. So they've said, look, why everyone is fighting over their religions? Why don't you just get in the dream time, land of the Fae, and have your own religions and just let's go on our merry way? And that's
So
sort of where we're going.
You're not saying that everyone has to be the same religion. Everyone's got their.
No, it's like you get your little piece of the pie and we stay where we are. Like, if you're Catholic and you're really devastated by what's happened at the top, which is infiltration, or whether it was based originally on something, but it's a beautiful religion. And I have friends that are Catholic, I have friends that are Jewish, I have friends that are Muslim, I have friends that are from all around the world. And the general population is a good person, and we don't necessarily know what's going on at the top. And it's a bit like the lower house Freemasons. They've got no idea. But then once you get deeper and deeper into the tax evasion and the weird cultural at the top, that's when you start to go, oh, this isn't looking too good for us, is it? And, oh, well, so you can actually stay in your format and stay in your belief systems, whatever it is, and be pure-hearted, because realistically, we're all really beautiful souls. And I'd like to think that under this type of faith-based organisation, which is what we are, or what I'm producing at the moment, is your house of safety. It's literally bundles like the eagle that protects everybody, and just keep on your merry-go-round. Don't worry about what the big lords are trying to do to us. We're under Unidrip. We're protected. And we're very, very fortunate that I've found very awake, you know, custodians of this land that are really concerned what's going on. And they're very awake. They're not racist. They're not corporized. They're not coming for our land. They're really concerned of what the media and what the government, and they don't want to do treaty and take the land off us. There's elders rising up all around Australia, but they're not listening to the elders. They're grabbing the youth. And so I'm trying to smash this all out as fast as I can. So if I sound like I'm on, I just know we've only got an hour.
Well, let's get into what it's all about, what you're trying to achieve. Like, you've got.
All right. So realistically, our holistic education system is under attack. I can hear all my kids coming home, so the dogs might go a bit wow. So what did I just say? I can hear my son calling.
Our education.
Yeah, our holistic medical systems are under attack. They're literally going to take away herbs. They're going to take our superfood, healing, our, you know, fruit and vegetables. Organic's going to be non-existent once they start bringing in GMO. They're going to be able to spray vaccines, pesticides. I mean, I think in the last 5 years, a lot of people are awake to what's actually going on. And they're saying overpopulation, but realistically, it's how they create revenue. They keep us sick, they make money, they keep us on the health system, and that's how they run us. Really, they just live off us being their little soldiers, digging up reserves, sending them overseas, and we're literally destroying this country at a very fast pace. And they don't care for the souls of Australians. And that's pretty obvious as far as I can see. Now, I know if someone from mainstream media would go, mate, this chick's cooked. But realistically, there's a lot of wise people and there's a lot of medical professions and they're scared. So under our elders court, we've got an elders council and a court, but it's run by us. They are literally just standing there as a protection. Sorry, I thought my door was opening. So realistically, we can now protect naturopathy. We can protect herbology. We can protect...
How, Jess? How
because we fall under the elders law. Now, the elders are protected in the UN DRIP. They are under, I think it's certain articles where they have self-determination. So if they're the head of our ministry, they are protecting us under those laws. We're also able to bring forth, so one of the elders suggested that we have our own inherent sovereignty, ancestral sovereignty. So therefore, for me, I'm allowed to stay as I am. I'm allowed to protect anything that I want under the ministry. Therefore, they will come along and say, no, this is part of our ministry. Very similar to the Amish. I get corrected all the time, but everyone's different. And they literally heads down, walk across the road, get to their area, and they're fine because they're in a different jurisdiction. I'm trying to not go too advanced. There's like 3 levels to this whole legal system. And by being a ministry or a church, you fall under ecclesial law, which is the universal law, and it's the highest law. Now, if it's run by UniDrip and it's protected under those types of laws, we're very untouchable. So yeah, it's just been a massive learning curve for me and trying to work our way through the matrix, because realistically we have to all come together. And one of the reasons I decided to use Bunjil, going back to my original story, when I was 4 years old, I learned about the dream time and I learned about Bunjil, and I was like, oh, because I was a bit of a raised by hippies and environmentalists. I really like the idea of the eagle being the mystical bird that would protect us. So I sort of fell in love with that story, but was very inquisitive about, Jesus and God, because I could I could relate to it. So Bunjil's mythology, which is this region, which is southeast or south, Victoria, they all have different names all around Australia. So Bunjil, what he did when all the tribes and all the people were fighting, he threatened to flood the land. And if the people kept fighting, we weren't protecting our children. So his law is children come first. And I really loved that, because the reason I'm in this fight is for my 4 kids. And I shouldn't call them kids because they're not goats. They're beautiful beings. And I found I have to find a solution to Australia's biggest problem, and it's to stop fighting. And we need to come together, and we need to realise that the government, let's be honest, the government have been infiltrated. I think the system's fantastic and it worked, but we're all getting infiltrated. So therefore we need to use a one world religion to get under I like to think we still are just walking daily, but if things become a threat, we're actually setting up a system that protects us. And then we can work our way through the court systems under international law, not these systems that we can see aren't really working for us anymore, because I believe we're a republic country now.
And why do you believe that?
Based on, look, I'm a bit of a crazy horse. I like to watch everything. I get on mainstream media every day and go, ooh, what's the underlying message here? What's this? What's that? Why are they doing that? I'm a critical thinker, as most of us probably are. And what I discovered was when the king came over to say g'day to Albo and the governor, he actually swapped the seal on the 21st of October. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. What he's done is, without a referendum, he's removed us from the Commonwealth. Now, how would we know that that's actually taken place? Well, I believe we weren't even going to get coins once I saw that happened. But we did. We started getting the King Charles coins. So when I looked at this coin, I went, but he's not wearing a crown. Why isn't the king wearing a crown on our coins? Because he's not the king. And that takes us back to the 21st of October. And it wasn't me that just discovered it. It was a lot of, top lawmen that were saying, oh, it's all over, we've lost, miserable, sad story. And that got me clicking and thinking, well, hang on a minute. There's a way around everything. When there's higher source and creator, they work for us. And when that happens, there's always a door. There's always an option. There's always a silver lining. And I believe the more I'm researching and the more divine serendipity is occurring, I've got lots of people that are trying to join the ministry under certain interest. They're like, oh, this could actually work. So I went around, I tried to find different PMA creators, and there's a lot. I learned a lot. I actually stumbled on someone that was very aligned to the way I feel, and he's come from New Zealand, worked with the chiefs, and actually put this practice, and it works over there, right? So I sort of sat and learnt a lot from this man for 10 months intensely. Last 10 months, that's all my head's been. I feel like I've grown braille on my forehead just from being so confused and, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to learn this? But I learn it now. And yeah, I feel like we have created a nation, and we've done it in a way that is totally ecclesial, and the dream time and the land of the Fae. So it marries us to our Caucasian ancestry. So we're quite able to be ourselves within this realm. We don't need to mesh and blend, and we don't all become one. We're allowed to have whatever divine energy creates for us. And that's the tool I'm trying to provide for every religion, for any person that doesn't have a religion. It's just a source of protection. And we'll be able to protect by having the land of the Fae and the Scottish law. We're able to go and protect all the herbs that are over in Ireland and Scotland and where they originated from. And the interesting factor is, when I started studying herbology, because I learnt herbs through my grandma in her garden. She had big vat crystals, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, this woman.
How beautiful.
Well, she was a little bit nutty, but now I know why she was nutty. I feel like
she wasn't.
Well, I don't think she was nutty, but she didn't fit the norm, because she was very land of the Fae. She raised us to be fairies, and just, and I thought that was normal. So when I went round to other grandma's house, I'm like, where's their huge vat crystals in the veggie patch? And why don't they have an ice cream container with a huge crystalline water in it that brings down the moon and helps the garden grow? All these really strange, weird sort of rituals. And it was very apparent to me as I grew up more and more in mainstream that we don't fit in here. So I'm sort of honoring my grassroots realistically. And I love all the religions. And when I searched all around the world, I'd go to museums. You often find them in art galleries. I'd just hunt out the history and go, why are they pulling all the teeth out of the women? And why are they always, Mum, why are they killing what's going on here? Well, what they were doing was they were killing all the women on the land of Ireland, and that's why they called them witches, because they weren't witches. They were medicine women, and they were the practitioners. So studying herbology, the only way they saved the herbs when the British came to Ireland and Scotland was in their ministries. They couldn't touch them because it was under ecclesial law. And that's the history of herbology. And what they did was all the scrolls they put in ships, in Arabic ships, and they took the scrolls over to Arabia and hid them in mass sand temples. And then when the raids all stopped and ceased, they asked for them back. And that's how we held on to our history. And it's a fascinating known fact. And well, that's where we're at. For me, that personally is how I see ministries can possibly be what we've needed our whole lives to protect ourselves. And it doesn't necessarily, you can have your own ministry within the ministry. If the ministries at the top are going to be corrupted and easily meshed by the World Economic Forum, then we need to have our safety belt. And I feel like Bunjil's our main creator that allows us in Australia to have that unique sovereign, and we could end up saving the whole world under sovereign religions. And I would love to think that we're all protected. I mean, realistically, that's what I'm about. I'm a spiritual being. I don't judge. I don't care. If you hurt someone, see you later. There's got to be harsh laws, and it doesn't matter what religion you are. There's no death or brutality. There's nothing. You've got to come from the light, or you're not practicing under Bunjil. You're not Australian as far as I can see, and you haven't learnt the culture of this land. And by saying that sounds very disrespectful to traditional custodians, because they're very traumatized and their wounds are very fresh, and things didn't change until the 60s, and we forget that. So this isn't about placing anyone higher than us, or it's just a solution for us to get together and find the common enemy and protect our health and our holistic ways of being healthy. I hope I'm not rattling on. I feel like a rattle. But
well,
I'm trying to smash it all out,
how
because
amazing.
Sorry?
Margie's saying, how amazing, great interview. Jennifer, Karen saying, love this idea. Jennifer's, I'll tell you one more. You sound awesome. I could listen all day.
Oh, thank you. I get very scared to step out of the box, because I love all religions. My best friends are Christians, and my best friends I've got really good friends that are Jewish, and it's been traumatic for me to watch my friends fall apart over a bigger plan. There's a bigger agenda, and it's traumatizing. And for watching my friends that are Catholic, seeing what the Catholic top end is doing has traumatized them. My best friend's Catholic, and she's ashamed, but she's so beautiful. She practices the religion from a very Mary, she's the most beautiful person I know. And she's not, you can't paint her with what's been going on at the top. They're just beautiful,
that's their
solid
plan,
people.
They actually want us to divide. So any way they can, they'll pull us apart, really.
Yeah,
so you're trying
I've watched
to
my
together.
best friends who are Jewish traumatized. They're traumatized because they know the bigger agenda. They're not, and they're now sitting where the Catholics were only 10, 15 years ago. So they're pulling us all apart, and they're making us turn on our religions and trying to make us all atheist. And it's not okay. The only thing that ever got me through my whole life was my spiritual belief systems. And to try and take that away at such a time when we're in such negative trickery, it's disturbing. And I just love the fact that there's elders out there that can see what's going on, because that's really huge. And they really want to protect holistic medicines as well. And they want to trust the medical industry. They've been scared of the medical industry their whole lives. They don't go to doctors. One of my biggest concerns on North Stradbroke Island is no one goes to the doctors, and they get really sick and they don't get the help that they need. And that's happening all around Australia. So we're not far out of the ring with them now, because I sort of go, oh, I know what you mean. And they go, oh, welcome to our world, sister, you know, and they've been aware the whole time. So it's like a big eye opener. Anyway, can't speak for all.
Karen, it is the Royal Tribal Health Ministry. Karen's just asking what the name is.
It's in its birthing process. So I've literally designed it as a tool for everybody, and it's not, I don't consider it's mine. I think it's just something that naturally evolved, and I just think it's my relationship to this country. I've spent years of my life in forests. I never even listened to mainstream media. I thought, you're all a bunch of cookers. But when COVID hit, they're the cookers because they're getting cooked. So for me, I had to come out of the forest, come out of my fairy realm, come into this, you know, I'm watching mainstream every day. I never cared. But now our livelihoods are under threat. I would be dishonorable to my spirit if I didn't watch what's going on and try to work out a way through for all of us. And I don't believe I'm the solution. I believe I've got a chip to a solution. I believe until the hammer drops, none of us know how we're going to get through this ride. And we've all got to just accept that's their way through. And we might end up knocking on their door and going, hey, I'm coming with you guys because this way didn't work. We can't be judging and pulling each other apart right now. We've got about 4 to 6 months. We've also been
What do you mean? What do you mean 4 to 6 months?
To me, personally, I think we're about to be biometrically controlled in a very intense way. Frankston Council, Kingston Council have both come out and said that Chinese cryptocurrency is their new acceptance. They've literally said we're a twin cities. They're recognizing each other with a Chinese smart city. Now, when I did my research into the company that both these councils have accepted, they're actually got military robots. So we don't have very long to find our solutions and work our way through. I don't think we can turn this ship around because there's not enough people awake. But I do believe there's a tool through. We drove up to Cairns and we met with a nation that's not corporized. They're very awake. They're very friendly. They're working with their whole area, you know, all colors, don't care. Are you a good soul or aren't you? So when we went up there, they gave us our own IP address and we can have a digital ID with our elders. They're doing all the negotiating at the moment. And to be honourable, there's probably one elder I do need to mention, and her name's Sandra Ross. And her bloodline is Warren in South Australia. She's also related to the Queen. She's also related to a very strong Freemason called the Campbells. And she is unbelievable. She's also, Ross, not Campbell's. That's another elder, because you'll notice a lot of the elders have got Scottish interbred into them for the fur trade. So that was how they could come onto the land and own it. So it's fascinating history we have. But anyway, I could talk for 2 days and still not have told you enough. But yeah, so anyway, last night we had our first little ministry crash course and it was just amazing. The person that's come in and leading the way, we're having another one at Cheltenham Bowls Club on Wednesday night, and he's such an insight into what's going on. And we're doing the best we can to get through right now. And I believe that if we don't get rid of this ego and just come from our souls, come from our heart, come from this country, we're gonna lose a fight we're possibly gonna win. Right now, we can win this, but we can't keep going the way we're going. You can have, I love everyone's ideas. So for me, I love the Constitution, but unfortunately, I believe they're trying to burn the Constitution. So therefore, within the ministry, you can have that Constitution if you want to, and you can do whatever you want. Just claim your place, take your spot, and let's have a crack at the title. Because realistically, they're pushing through that the traditional landowners own the land. Therefore, our smartest alliance is with elders that get it. They're standing right with us if we want. They're probably more awake than we are. We've sort of been strung along the line and don't realise until 3 years ago. I mean, I think I realised, but I was with Elders Saving Forests going, oh my God, this is horrific. And so I sort of learnt at about 18 years old what was really going on. Liberal, Labor, Greens, they're all the same. They just change the coops and look like they care and do all this stuff, but they're all working for corporations. And I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but I believe we need to get our click on and just get to work. And if that's come along, pull it apart. We want people to pull this apart. Come for us, break it down, tell us where it won't work, and then we rebuild and we fix it. Because realistically, we're using their law upon themselves. And it's really quite interesting how we could take this all the way if we're smart enough, and we could allow I hate to say woke and awake, because on some levels we're awake and we're not. Anyway, I'll pause there because I can see there's a lot of little things, and I'd like to, oh, here we go. I can't really see, I'm on my phone, so I'll let Donna do the.
Totally agree, Jess. I also have many friends and family who are Christians, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Indigenous, etc. And this is about the spiritual, not the individual religions. All good people coming together to stand as one. Can you maybe let me know, oh, sorry, my glass. No, in a personal message, which elders you are working with, please, as I have worked with lots over the years from all over Oz. So that's, oh, hi, Judy. I started reading. I didn't realise it was you. How are you? So did you get that? It's Judy O'Donnell.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I would love to work with that. I've got a really good friend of mine at the moment who is in the UN in Geneva, and she's actually stepping in as our Minister of Sustainability, and she's just done a plastic. She's just been through all the islands, filmed all the plastic, and she's now representing with Fiji over there, and she's working with senior lawmen from all around the world. And she's in conference at the moment, and she's teaming up an alliance because they're also very awake to what's going on, obviously. So yeah, we're pretty, it's divine intervention right now, and I'm really fascinated to see how far we can push back, because realistically, they've got nowhere to go with this one, because we're literally creating their own government and mirror imaging them back. But we've got the elders at the top. So if you notice what's going on, I don't know if you noticed, but a new judge just came in and she's an elder. They're literally switching it over because they know they've lost. They've just claimed genocide. So a lot of the elders aren't going to do treaty. Like, she's bribing them to say, if you do treaty, we'll give you compensation. Hang on, you just admitted you've been trying to kill them, and now you think you can create the rules to give them money? So it's been really interesting. I've been talking to a lot of elders that are very angry, and they're not racist. They just want to be heard. They just want to listen. They just want to talk. They want to sit on country and go, what are we going to do about this?
Oh, sorry, hang on. Sorry, Jess. Where'd that go? Someone wants the address and the time for Wednesday next week. They want to join along.
Cheltenham Bowls Club. You can look it up. We do have a Kingston Bayside Community Network. There's also the Royal Tribal Health Ministry on Facebook. We were birthed as My Place Bayside, and hats off to Darren. You know, like, realistically, if it wasn't for Darren, we couldn't have all come together in what we considered a safe space.
Yeah.
And we sort of had a bit of conflict going on within the Cheltenham Bowls Club. They were getting lots of threats, and they just sort of said, look, we need to change the name. By changing the name, we've gotten all types that have started to come. It's not just the unvaccinated. So it's been quite interesting, and we're holding space for vaccine awake people, and it's very difficult for a lot of those people to actually comprehend that they've been had by someone they trusted all their life. So yeah, it's a fascinating experiment. I feel like we're in our own experiment at the moment, but I see a lot of hope.
Yeah, definitely. Did it again? No, I don't know. So Jess, we're running out of time now. People want you to come back. Someone's asked me to get you back. So
I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface, but
I feel like you haven't either. With all these notes, you haven't.
I did warn you though.
You did, but you know, you got interesting, so there was not much I could do about that.
Well, I think realistically, it's such a good time to jump on board because it's only forming. There is no formation right now, which is why I'm sort of coming out, because I don't think anyone rules this space. I think we rule our own space, and we're all self-determined. So there's so much room for people's research panels and science panels and medical panels. You know, I've been talking to AMPS. People are really interested, and we want to start holistic clinics. And yeah, it's a fascinating moment.
If you can quickly just talk a little bit about AMPS, because you're saying that you want to bring the medical professionals and the traditional healers together, working side by side. We haven't, as I said, we haven't got much time, but can you touch on that, please?
Well, under international law and under sovereign self-determination, UN DRIP, they're allowed to create their own medical determination, realistically. So therefore, they're very interested in doctors that have stood against the pharmaceutical interests. So when I spoke to one particular elder, I said, I've got this doctor, you know, he's so cool, he's so awake, He goes, I don't go to bloody doctors. I just use my medicine. He goes, actually, there is something I've got here that I probably should get looked at. You sure he's all right? And I go, yeah, mate. I said, but you'd have to put him through, because he's been rejected from APRA, he'd have to come under your sovereign laws. And he goes, oh, yeah, we can do that. Don't worry about it. That's sweet, mate. No. And you just go, it can't be that easy, but it is that easy. But there's certain legislations we have to go through, and we've already started the process. Mark Butler knows we're coming, and he knows we're under UniDrip, and he got that letter and signed and sovereign sealed before he signed on the 19th, and he never responded in 14 days. So, you know, we got some legalities to play with there. We were waiting for that, but nah, it didn't come. So, yeah, I could talk about this forever, because I think it is a forever thing.
Yeah, good. The medical side of it really interests me too. The natural healing.
Well, yeah, we can have there's ways around it. We can actually have clinics. We can have 6-week courses. So if someone gets diagnosed with a certain stage of cancer, it's more of a healing process and medical advice. And we would talk to the real system. We're never going to run away from any system that isn't there. There are good doctors out there that can help us. But if we find that this is getting steered in a direction we don't want to go, we can use our doctors that have been assigned because we trust them and we know they can see behind the pharmaceutical control. So that's sort of where we're going. And it sounds really potentially great. And we're going to have doctors run it themselves with the elders and go through the proper systematic laws. And yeah, it's game on.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, really amazing. And I'm guessing there'll be an education department.
Absolutely. We've actually got a lot of interest in that department. There's a concept of doing it all on a farm. So a lady's contacted me and she wants to do the she actually wants to buy a property and do it all there. So, I mean, what do we want to do, guys? Let's have a crack and see if we can do it, is realistically where we're at, and create little councils for each one. And then at the top, if there ever becomes a dispute, you just get the elders to rule on it. And if there's ever laws where the government, we say, yeah, that's fine, come into our council, come into our court, and we'll hear you. Otherwise, we'll meet you in international law court, and then we'll get them to reign on that. So we're sort of stumping them in their own game, because when do they ever get pulled up by international law? So yeah,
I love it. Sounds
it's exciting. I
great.
mean, we got to hold on to something at the moment. We've got a lot of people reaching out, and I'm getting a little bit like, woo, woo, woo. I'm missing things now because they're coming at me so fast. So I think that's why we're now starting to really get serious, because there's a lot of people that's been researching forever and are really interested. I mean, there's scientists from the CSIRO that are gagged, and they're also interested, because if they get accepted under the elders, they're not gagged anymore.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's got a lot of potential, and it's
Absolutely.
yeah, all on deck, mate.
Karen's in. There's few people in, I think.
And we're open to criticism. Like, we really need to get hit hard. So people go, oh, that won't work. We're quite open to people coming at us going, nah, it's not going to work because of this. And then we go back to the drawing board and go, oh, we didn't think about that, because we'd rather that now than crunch time. So we need all the criticals. And it's not for everyone, and we don't expect everyone, but we'd like to think the portal's pretty strong, that if it gets down to it, we can jump in and go, oh, you know what, maybe you were a little bit right, and we'll jump in. Or vice versa. You know, Tim Dwyer's amazing with what he wants to achieve, and there's no wrong or right way. It's just, let's just help each other get there and stop judging each other and hurting and putting each other down. And, you know, we got to stop protesting, because I don't believe in stop protesting. I take that back, but we've got to realize there's a lot of work we've got to do, and we just can do it. The Amish do it every day. They just grab their horse and their little donkey and they go for a walk, and they're back in there and they're nunga, 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 and everything's good.
I've always wanted to live like that, always, since I was a little girl.
I don't think we're going to have a choice, maybe.
Well, good. Throw us into it.
And we won't go on the internet. Oh, no. We can all hang out instead. Oh, no. We'll go back to the 70s.
Be novel, wouldn't it?
Be amazing.
Jess, we're going to have to sign off, darling.
Sweet.
Thank you so much. No time.
That's all right. I was worried all day that I'd have a lot of enemies after saying what I was saying, and I was very scared to talk about my grandma, and I really appreciate you, Donna, sort of encouraging me to have a crack at the title. I was thinking I was just going to have to go off into my own little lagoon, but you gave me courage, and I appreciate all that you do. You're an amazing human, and I love every part of you.
Oh, thank you. I love you too.
Oh, and we've also got a market on this Sunday at Cheltenham Bowls Club. So if anyone wants to come, it's a private event. It's not so private anymore, but yeah, it's going to be a really interesting. We're doing silver trade under the Coin Club, We've created a coin club in the ministry, so we're actually going to practice bartering, and it's all gifting, and it's all under Bunjil's eye because he's the creator, and the councils have all ruled on it. So come on down, just have a play, and yeah, be lovely to meet people. I'll be probably cooking in the kitchen and look like a blowout, so don't even worry about me on that day, but there's always Wednesday.
All right, darling. We do have to go. Michael's coming on soon.
All right. Love your work, Donna. And
Thank
love
you. I
Michael too. Peace out. Mwah. Love yous.
Bye, guys. Bye, Jess.
See you, Gorge.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming on tonight. I hope you enjoyed that. I did see that you wanted Jess on as a regular to update. So we'll have a chat about that. But for now, I will see you next week. Have a wonderful week, and I love you.
Whispers rise like smoke in the air. Everyone's talking, but nobody dares. Lost in confusion, but who